Hello, I'm Canay Atalay. Welcome to Regenerative Innovation with Canay. In this program, we are exploring how to innovate, not only to solve problems, but also innovate our minds and systems which are creating the problems. Regenerative innovation encompasses the traditional innovation, where we are creating new products, services, or technologies to meet the market demands. But here, our focus is becoming the humanity, creating solutions not only to improve economies, but also serve to people, society, and the planet. And here our focus becomes how we can strengthen the relationships among humans and more than human life, as well as how we can improve the well-being of all life by enhancing the innate capacity of each being. So let's explore the dimensions of regenerative innovation, which is a very timeless and at the same time timely invitation to reclaim our humanity, to take better care of ourselves, of each other, and our beautiful world, this beautiful planet Earth. In each program, I invite amazing people who are walking the talk and who are kind of breaking through our mental modalities. And today I have my guest, the founder and president of the World Happiness Foundation, World Happiness Fest, author of Hapitalism and the Exponentials of Happiness, dear Luis Gallardo. Let me introduce you with him before he comes in. So besides all these amazing initiations, he's also the director of the Gross Global Happiness Program at the United Nations University for Peace. Luis is a social innovator and entrepreneur with the higher purpose of elevating the vibration of the planet by developing ideas, connecting thought leaders, activists, and communities, and increasing awareness on the science of happiness, holistic education, and smart innovation. He has a very impressive background in being advisor to CEOs, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, and so many other people. But the idea is that he comes to the conclusion that the world needs new lenses to realize growth and how humans and societies can thrive. So welcome, Luis.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. I'm delighted. Thank you so much today.
I'm so happy to be with someone who makes the happiness the main agenda for the world.
Yes. And I'm so happy that we are many now doing this all around the world. So I'm not alone, but and you are one of them. So super thrilled and excited.
It is viral. We know how to be happy, and then we can really awaken it. And Luis, let's jump in right away. I mean, it's obvious, right? The media, the street conversations, many things are not pro-happiness, and somehow we normalized being sad, being diseased, being not okay is our normal. Like, it has been probably decades of investment on the opposite of our natural state of being well and happy. You know it, I know it, we are working towards that, especially with regenerative innovation. That is like the basis of our assumptions. We are here to be well and happy. And I'm curious, in all the conversations you are making, and you just said, we are increasing, we are many, that gives me hope, but I'm not seeing that on the daily media or business meetings. Can you please give us some hope? How happiness is rising, and what are some of the signals that makes you keep on walking on this path as a leader, inviting others, and what type of results you are seeing at the moment? What are the good signals? Let's start from there.
Okay, well, thank you for the question. It's not an easy one, but definitely we have so many signals in order to build on hope. Because normally hope becomes more prominent when we are feeling the worst. So I think that we all agree that we are living today in a fragile world, very anxious, is not linear, and at some point incomprehensible. It's this BANI, I call this BANI, B-A-N-I. So this BANI world is going beyond VUCA. is going beyond complexity. It's really incomprehensible and anxious. But once we realize that, then what we know as well from so many researchers around the world about the mind, especially, and the connection to the body, that everything is in our minds. So we really create the stories based on beliefs that are going to be later on manifesting our emotions and our behaviors. So what I'm trying to say is that whatever we believe is true. So, and if we believe strongly about something positive, it's positive. And if we believe strongly about something negative, it's going to be negative. And our body is going to react to that. So this is the first source of hope. We can create our own reality. We can really, really create through our thoughts the reality where we live on. Ellen Langer is one of the top psychologists and researchers on the mindful body and the connection of thoughts and the way we behave. So it really, the placebo effect is the effect. So actually we don't need anything else than healing our thoughts in order to heal the world. So this is our focus. This is the focus of the World Happiness Foundation. This is my personal focus. How do we work with entrepreneurs, with influencers in order to heal and change the thinking? We call it reframing and reprogramming. Because the moment we reframe towards abundance instead of scarcity, towards freedom instead of fear, towards happiness instead of no happiness, we can really create a world with more consciousness. And when we increase our consciousness, we really change the world. I just came from Bhutan. Bhutan is one of those paradise that we have in the world. Some people would say utopias. But it's not a utopia, it's a reality. It's not a dystopia. It's a protopia. It's what I call protopias. It's not utopias, it's not dystopias. It's something that is actually happening. And you know, when you see the whole country, which from a GDP gross, when we take into account the product measurement, not the happiness measurement, it's one of the poorest countries in the world because GDP is very low. But then when you realize that everybody there is living in nature, 72% of the country is nature-based. When you see the purity of the air, when you see the strength of the community, when you see the compassion-based society, because spirituality and coming from Buddhism is very strong, and when you see that the whole parliament organized the decision-making around what is the impact on the overall happiness of the citizens, you realize that actually we have examples. We have countries, we have cities, we have companies, we have schools where we are really focusing on the thriving part of the coin. As you know, there is a yin and yang on everything. There is a balance and interconnection and interdependence of light and darkness. There is not a light without darkness. So we really need both. That's why what we are living today is in a world where we can polarize, but our responsibility is to unite, because the thinking that we are separated is one of those thoughts that we really need to change. And you know this because of regeneration. So how can we regenerate? We have to go into generate again. And that means that we have to use different means in order to build on something that maybe was wrongly done. And we are, as humanity, we are specialists in making mistakes and learning from mistakes. So this is another reason why I think I have a lot of hope. We made so many mistakes that we are so smart now. So we are so smart to actually fix those mistakes with new technologies, new paradigms, and new thinking. So this is a bit of hope, but we can go further whenever you want.
We can go on and on about these topics. I believe the invitations you are making with the services, with the academy, where now you are inviting people to become chief happiness officers for their companies, are great opportunities to deep dive into these conversations and learnings. But something you have said about the light and the shadow, Yes, then can we think about happiness as this state, like this original state of being when as humans we can feel all the time? Or do you believe we also need to have sadness and anger and all the other palette of human emotions so that we can feel the happiness? Does the dark and the light analogy, does it also extend to happiness?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. There is no unhappiness without understanding happiness. And there is no happiness without understanding unhappiness. So this is very important. The spectrum is not one emotion's opposite to another one. So this is not sadness opposite to happiness. This is happiness with a whole spectrum to unhappiness. This is sadness to a whole spectrum to no sadness. This is form with a whole spectrum to no form or formless. This is fear to fearless. So if we want to look at opposites, is looking at the same emotion. And this is something that we really need to train people, because we can be sad, we can be angry, we can be happy, and we can feel joy, but those are not opposite. In the same minute, I can feel multiple emotions. So this is something that we know, and this is why it exists as the World Happiness Foundation. We need to bring more education around states. And this is part of why the science of happiness is so important, and the science of well-being. Because one of the conclusions that we have is that we work on both well-being, being well, as overall goal of humanity, and is thriving. And happiness is subjective well-being. Basically, happiness is a state of mind. That's why working on the thinking and the thoughts and going beyond the brain, so actually connecting all our states and all who we are as being is so important. So yes, sadness is as important as happiness, but it's important because it's going to be giving us information. All emotions are giving us information. What we cannot do with emotions is neither suppress them or express them. And this is why we see so much violence in the world, because people cannot hold on their emotions. They have to express their emotions. So if somebody is very, very angry, they're going to express the emotion fighting, because they don't know what to do. They really need to get that anger somewhere. And this is the shadow work that you mentioned. When we understand that we can manage our emotions by integrating them into our whole being, that's the beginning where we can create peaceful societies. I talk about the concept of fundamental peace. Fundamental peace is the integration of freedom to be, consciousness to expand and evolve, and happiness to share. When we combine those three, we are really wired to tap into who we are as humanity. And this is very important as well, that everybody knows that there was a big discussion always about the nature of humanity. Is this evil or is good? Is this super bad? Well, actually, I am a I do hypnotherapy myself. This is part of my personal practice. And when you do hypnotherapy, you go to the subconscious mind. Basically, you are working in the subconscious mind and you are talking to it. Do you know, when you go deeper and deeper and deeper on our core state, there is no one single person in the world that doesn't have a good state. So everything that we get to is bliss, union, peace, universal consciousness. This is all about love. That's the reality of humanity. That's why this is so hopeful, because there is no one single human being that is bad by the core, by nature. It's the conditions and is suppressing our emotions will really get us into layers and layers and layers of complexity that basically reflect not who we are, but actually what we do. So this is so interesting space, and that's why I want to bring a lot of hope. We are good, absolutely good by nature. We have to tap into the core of every human being and get the best and get everything that we have there, and that's the moment where we are going to create peaceful societies.
I love that it is our nature, but I also like to think that we can choose happiness. Like that choice is our sacred right. It's our right to choose happiness. But how to do that, especially when you think outside conditions are not exactly how you want, or less than ideal, let's say, because there are so many spectrums of, as you said, there is violence and wars and people living in hunger and poverty. Today I was reading a research about how the teenagers in UK are so depressed compared to the rest of Europe, because most of the parents, they cannot afford jackets and fruits and vegetables to eat on a daily basis. So the depression attached to those statistics was shown in this research. But what I feel lately, the last 1 year ago actually, exactly 1 year ago, I live in Ibiza with my daughters. I was going through some challenging time and mainly fighting within myself and fighting with the external conditions. And there was a moment I was so overwhelmed, and I'm like, what do I want in the end, right? Like, let's forget about all these instrumental goals, the end. Like, I'm dying and I'm looking back, and what do I want to say? And I'm like, it's so easy. I want to live a happy and peaceful life, right? That's it. Doesn't matter with what, this house or that job or looking like that, or, you know, like, it doesn't really matter. I want to have a happy and peaceful life. And then I asked to myself, Janai, who is choosing your thoughts right now? I'm choosing. Like, of course, there is some subconscious thoughts, but like where I'm putting my attention and whether how to eliminate those thoughts is still within my capacity. I have that power. I can work on it. If I don't have that capacity, I can increase my capacity. And then what meaning you are making out of it and what actions you're taking out of it, whose choice is it? It's my choice. And I'm like, what if I have a shortcut? And I say, I choose to be happy no matter what happens. I choose to be happy no matter what happens. And since then, it became a game. I feel sad, the emotions come up, and I'm like, whoa, I have the capacity to feel sadness. And let's see what happens. And I choose to be happy with all this capacity I'm feeling right now. I know it might sound like Pollyanna to so many people, but it really expanded me in a way that I'm leading my life, my inner psyche, in ways that I have not done with other methodologies. Just this making a decision to be happy no matter what. And guess what? It also increased my capacity to take action, because when you are so low and down, you cannot take action. I'm not saying don't feel them. Feel them, but if you choose to be happy, it also makes you come alive and take action to the same so-called problems, which are no longer problems because you reframe them, like in your words, so that you can also be available to proactively change things. And I mean, what is better than that? This is exactly what we need right here, right now. And I believe as long as you don't have some chronic disease or something, it is kind of possible for all of us.
Yeah, you're completely right. And you know, basically when you share what you're saying, basically you are sharing the power of affirmations. And this completely research is affirmations and positive suggestions are giving us at least a boost of 35 to 55% of our daily doses of feelings, positive feelings. So affirmations and suggestions. One suggestion I have is that we choose happiness instead of happy. So I feel happiness. That's even giving us more boost because we embody. So when we move from a noun, static, to a verb, which is a process. So when I say I'm happiness, what I'm saying is that I'm going to be sharing, I'm going to be expanding my happiness around me because I'm going to be embodying it. And that's so important that when we embody what we want to be or what we are. So if we want to see peace in the world, be peace. If you want to see, so what does it mean in a practical way? Well, you are driving and you have a red light, and you act in a peaceful way, in a calm way. You get bad news, and you breathe in, and you stay with the news, and you understand what is being peaceful with bad news. So I think that basically what we are doing now, we're living in a world that we are outsourcing all the responsibilities. So we don't want to kill cows, but we eat beef. So we have to be congruent as humanity. It's like, what is it that we really want? And this is actually my book, Hapitalism. And this is why I'm reframing the way we understand success. Why these teenagers are so stressed? Why? That's the key question, because that happens everywhere in the world. I mean, in the United States, the latest statistic is 53% of women, teenage women, don't have hope in the future. And 1/3 are having suicidal thoughts. I mean, that's terrible. Why? Well, because the framework that capitalism has created for us as the economic system, not just the financial system, the economic system, for all of us, is basically based on 3 premises. Fame, more fame, give us more success. Money, more money, give us more success. And power, more power, give us more success. So we are no more powerful than our neighbors. If we are no more famous and we don't have more money, it feels like we are failing. And this is the sense that we are bringing to our teenagers. This is the ladder, the professional ladder that you have to go through with more competition, with more comparison, and with more complaints. So there we have 3 C's, and then all this power, all this fame, and all the money. What I'm proposing is a new framework. We reframe and we redefine success. So what is redefining success in Hapitalism with H? So we move from C of capital to H of happiness. Well, actually, the first thing is the feeling of freedom. The feeling of freedom. Imagine that you wake up in the morning and you feel free, especially free from fear. You stop like, well, I don't have fear to do anything. I don't have anything to worry about. What an amazing feeling. How do you feel free? So that would be the new paradigm, the new pillar for success. Freedom. The second one, conscious. Becoming more conscious about what is going on, why, and what for. And the third one will be happiness. And it's happiness to share because we embody it. So imagine that we move out from success as fame, power, and money, and we refrain to freedom, consciousness, and happiness. The moment I feel about it, I feel relaxed. It's not like because today is another day to make more money. Today is another day to have more power. No, today is another day to enjoy life. Today is another day to be happiness, to be cautious, and to be free.
Make money while enjoying life, right? Like you can have them both, and we do that. That's the idea. We think in so much silos. Like money becomes more important than our happiness. Shows us already how we see ourselves as humanity. What a degraded position to become, right? So I love your invitation to reframing success, changing the definition of success to freedom, consciousness, and happiness. And I have an invitation for you, Luis. Can we just like role play? Yes. Imagine I'm inviting you to bring Hapitalism to Istanbul city. Okay, this beautiful, gorgeous city, amazing cultures. I guess 26 to 28 million people living together, so many cars, so many highways, shopping malls, but at the same time, little cafes, a lot of culture, all sorts of generations and different nationalities represented. Okay?
Okay.
What would be the way to bring Hapitalism to Istanbul city? And would you start with a segment, like let's start with children and teenagers, or would you start with like a neighborhood? Would you start with the leaders? What would be the way to begin and prototype and to develop it further?
I love the question. And I love Istanbul. Okay, so imagine that we are sitting by the Bosphorus. We are basically having this amazing Turkish coffee, and we are not alone. This is the first question. We have to be with somebody we love. We have to be with our family. We have to be sharing the living room. And we have to have people across generations. So this is one of the key learnings that we have, and we know what is bringing the most happiness to everybody, and is meaningful connections. Meaningful. Basically, relationships with meaning. So that would be the first thing we do. We find people with meaning to us, and we get together. So we don't isolate in a garage trying to innovate something that is going to change everything and everybody. No, we do this in groups, in small groups. Real change happens between 5 and 12 people. So that's what we need. Squads, groups of 5, 12 people, multi-generational, as diverse as possible, with a lot of trust, creating a safety network, and basically sharing about our dreams. So basically we have to project something that where we see ourselves, not the others. Because everybody says, no, I want to change the world because, well, but we all want to change the world at the same time. Imagine what a mess. That's probably what's going on.
Everybody wants to change the world without touching themselves. Yes, I know.
Exactly. That's it. So that's the thing. You are with meaningful people you love, and you change yourself. That's the beginning. How do you change yourself? First, you forgive. Forgiveness. That's the beginning. That's the beginning. Imagine if we all could forgive ourselves and we could forgive everybody around us. There's so much revenge. Whenever we look at movies, it's all based on revenge. You did something to me, I do something to you. This is the way real politics work. It's like, you hit me once, I hit you twice. You get angry, I get more angry. So this is the action reaction, building on conflict completely. Let's change this. It's like, let's start with forgiveness. This is a big one. Just stay with that, forgive. And when you have forgiven everything, then you move into compassion. And then you become compassionate to self and others. And then once you are moving from forgiveness to compassion, you end with gratitude. And then you become thankful and grateful for every single Turkish coffee that you are having in front of the Bosphorus. That's it. It's no more complicated than this. If you forgive and you are compassionate, and then you celebrate with gratitude, with meaningful connections, that's truly the beginning of change, your own change. Don't try to change anything around you. Just change yourself if you want to change something. Or just respect yourself, forgive yourself, be compassionate to yourself, and be grateful for being alive one more day in life.
I love that. Thank you for this beautiful pilot role play, Luis. I really love it. And it's such a gracious and approachable and available invitation to everyone who is watching us right now, because this we can start today with ourselves, with our families, with our friends. You don't need to wait for that to happen anywhere, but I'm really interested in bringing it to everywhere that I am, including the companies, because all the products and services and communication created by companies, I believe happiness as a process, as a mission, as a focus point with these processes seems like a great idea to regenerate our humanity. Thank you, Luis, so much for these beautiful insights. I have one final question to you. In this platform, we are a curious circle, and we like to ask questions to each other. Our previous guest, Ryan WhiteWolf, left you a question. He's a musician, composer, traveled around the world, and also the son of an indigenous family, adopted son of an indigenous family. He asked you this question. In my experience meeting people from many different cultures, I have experienced those with such an in-depth natural state of happiness, from farmers to monks to indigenous within their villages, those with not very much in terms of possession, and they would even give their last food and only bed to their guests. Whereas in the Western culture, so many people are depressed with so many that they have. And what is the difference in innovation, with all the innovation with Western society that defines this in areas like psychology, medical industry, and technology? They are innovating a lot and they have a lot, but still there is such a difference. What is that difference, and how would you like to bring the cultural differences to your research if you are not doing that already in the World Happiness Foundation? He asked you this question.
I love the question, and it's very complex and very rich, and I love it in so many ways. We just came from a 9 days expedition into harmony and happiness in the Himalayas. So we were exploring different cultures from India to Pakistan to Nepal to Bhutan, and the understanding of harmony, of balance, because regeneration is very much related to balance, and is very much related to positive emotions. That's why the combination of positive emotions with balance is very important. So basically, what we find is that when you really, truly understand the meaning of enough, and you know when enough is enough, that's the beginning of everything. Because you don't need many things if you are already having enough. And this applies to every single body in the world. When the question is when enough is enough. And when enough is enough, you accept it. And we find is that people will live in under poverty with $1 a day, they can be as generous as people living with billions. Because for them, $1 in that precise moment is enough because they have accepted that. So I think this is a reflection, is when enough is enough, and when are we able and willing to accept that enough is enough.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Luis. It's not enough for me, this conversation, not yet. But I would like to also take your question to our next guest, John Hagel. What's your curiosity?
Yeah. Well, I know John Hagel very well. We were at Deloitte at some point in time. I was a CMO, and we were always looking for the best research in the world. And there you have John Hagel leading the SWIFT index. And John actually came out with this conclusion that passion was very important for success. So when people were passionate about things, and actually you don't displace your passion. So you put your passion where your work is, that was so important for overall success. So my question will be that, has that changed? Because that's something that we were learning many years ago. So the first question is, what is the evolution of this passion over time? And the second is, what is the connection of passion to happiness?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Luis. I will happily pass this on, pouring my passion into it. Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation and also for your beautiful services. I'm truly looking forward to collaborating with you and wish you all the best.
Yes, the same. Congratulations for this amazing program and what you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, yes, we had finally a beautiful conversation about putting happiness in the core of everything. Luis was with us, and he's championing with World Happiness Foundation how actually happiness and peace is a human right. And it's not just some vision, but it's a very practical application that we can all take to our boardrooms, to our homes, to our inner worlds. So I invite you to participate in the happiness movement, starting with yourselves, and also join us in regeneratex.go, our community platform, where we are co-creating, collaborating, and sharing these sort of practices and visions and supporting each other for regenerative innovation. Let's take better care of ourselves, of each other, and our beautiful planet. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you so much for being with me in this journey of regenerative innovation.